M-shauri again, and today we are doing something exciting, and we're talking about GBV, which is gender-based violence, and it's something that we have seen, and it's not just in Kenya, it's actually worldwide, that there is an increased kinda enmity. I don't even know how to call it, if it's an enmity or but there is that controversy between the genders and a lot of violence. And today we have Founder and Chana, who is a 5th-year medical student from Moi University, and Mark Nyalume, who is the founder of Dr. Mind, which is a local CBO that deals with brain health, right? Yes. And also he is a medical psychology alum from Moi University. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it's just going to be open, like what's GBV for you guys when you hear GBV?
I think this is violence which is motivated by the gender of someone, like being biased, like looking at other genders as inferior and you as superior, and also maybe that's gender-based violence for me. Just trying to belittle another gender in any way, be it physical, emotional, and all those things. Yeah.
Oh, my turn, no? Okay, so gender-based violence, as Mark said, to me it's just a form of violence, but now there's a particular emphasis on maybe the opposing gender afflicting some form of violence on the other one. And this doesn't just mean violence, it can be even it doesn't mean like the direct affliction of violence, which we commonly interpret, but it also consists of the forcing someone to do something, the locking of someone into a room, the raising of voices, the threats, the pushing and the shoving, and then of course the epitome is now when they actually start battering or afflicting physical violence on the opposing sex.
Okay. And one thing I like is that both of you have brought about the different forms that can come about. And we know there are the different ones. There's the physical side, there's the sexual side, there's the emotional side, there's the socioeconomic side actually, and there's the harmful practices. And the main ones are usually the first three. The physical, sexual, and emotional. And Chana, since you the one who started really, really well, like when we talk about sexual violence, what exactly do we mean? Because I feel like sexual violence, we hear sexual violence, the first thing, rape. Yeah, but is it only rape?
No, it's not only rape. So like how we learned, the broader term to use is sexual assault. And in sexual assault, you have different forms. So there's rape, which is unconsented, but it's diverging towards one gender according to many definitions. So it's usually the man and then the woman. But then there's also things like maybe defilement, things like pedophilia, things like even just not necessarily doing the sexual act, but having that desire and beating someone with it, or even using other objects. And then there's also, even what happens before even rape, either immediately or even long term. And then there's also there's also the aspect that I'm doing this for you and you owe me. So sometimes it's like it's not mutual, or there's even threats, and there's even exchange of there's exchange of things like which are not like have particular barriers, but they're like a man can tell the woman that if you don't have this, I won't. If you don't give me what I want, I won't give you. I'll kick you out of the house, or I'll shame you in public. So I think that's what it captures.
Okay, and also, okay, something?
Okay, for me, I think sexual violence is any activity, like any sexual activity that is not consented for, or any activity oriented toward sex and it is not consented to. So it doesn't have to be really sexual. It can be just as little as spanking, things like those, to beating people. So I think any form of sexual activity that is not consented for by both parties, it is sexual violence to me, and it doesn't matter how minor it might be or major. It is violence.
Yeah, because I also read that somewhere that, okay, most studies are done on women,
Yeah.
and we'll come back about the men's side. But back in 2014, you remember when My Dress, My Choice came out, that
Yes,
period
yes.
where there was, women were being stripped because of what they were dressing,
Yeah.
and that is, I believe that's also a form of sexual violence, because they
Yeah.
kind of had they were harassed sexually, basically.
Yes, yes, yes.
No. And another thing is also like in Matatus. By the way, I will even say it proudly. Let me tell you, you go to a Matatu and it's like you're given the extra push to enter.
Yeah.
And the extra push where it was like someone just grabs you and pushes you.
Yeah.
And it's not consented.
True.
And most women tend to feel so defiled. I'm saying women because most people tend to feel so defiled with that. And it's like their dignity kind of just goes down. So is it that we don't respect, or is it that we hold, I'm sorry, but is it that we don't respect at that point? And what should we do for such a case, especially that?
To comment on the 2014 My Dress, My Choice, I think it can, we can, I don't want to be biased, to sound biased, but I think we can look at it from both sides. For me, mostly My Dress, My Choice, I was looking at a societal conflict. It's like there was some aspect of the society which were conflicting with other aspects. Like the ladies are seeing like they're being judged for dressing wrong, but for them they're looking at it as that is a choice, you see. But then the big question, even this one I asked in 2014, is like, okay, my dress is my choice, but my dress, my choice should apply where people understand my dress, my choice, you see. Like I always tell ladies, okay, if you're going to a club, my dress, my choice applies, because everybody in a club understands that short dress. But when you are going to any market, a local market, or any other local public activities, we have different individuals like who compose a society. So I think for me, like my dress, my choice was more of like a conflict from the society. But it is also like, it is sexual and it is violence to the way those guys chose to address it, you see? Because that was how I was saying it is both sides. How the guys approach to kind of correct the conflict in the society, it was very wrong. Because it was more of abusive, no respect, because you can't strip someone naked. No matter what they have done, that it does not compensate that action. Like sometimes when you are doing something as a correction to someone, look at it, is it compensating? Like her dressing short, does it compensate with her walking naked? So on that side I think it's violence, but then also to the ladies I like to say like the choices we make, we should also look at the public aspect, the social aspect of our choices. Because there are things we can do where the environment and people in that environment are very comfortable with it, but then there are also other environment which is very conflicting. And like my dress, my choice, you won't stop everybody to explain to them why you're dressing in a particular way. Yeah, but how it was addressed, that's violence, totally.
Yeah, okay, I think context is everything.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer of that. And it just depends on the environment. So like if, you know, we have these double standards that women should be dressed this way in such a setting, and then this way if they're looking for this. And sometimes it might not be the case because maybe some of them have just come from another place where that was appropriate, but now they're coming to another place where they didn't have that transition of changing. And then for men it's normal, they can be wearing the same thing here and there and there, and it's fine.
True.
But that's just
clothes.
yeah. I think that's just the limitation of our dress code,
Yeah.
and it's more it's like it applies for more contexts. And then I think women also have I think okay, it's your choice. At the end of the day, it's your choice. Like people want to feel good about themselves,
Yeah.
and they also don't want to. Yeah, I think like you want to feel good, and maybe some people are looking for a compliment, but they're not looking for anything above that. Yeah, and if they're looking for something above that, maybe it's just to a particular person, and that they themselves want to evoke that response. But at the end of the day, if we're judging people on the way they dress, then it should be both ways. And then again, if you're ogling at someone who you don't even know, and based on the way they're dressed, and you're giving them that, you're blaming them, and then there's a lot of cases where a lot of rape cases where the man justifies himself. He actually justifies himself, saying, "Oh, she was dressed this way, and she was looking for it, and I can't control my physical arousals and all."
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if that woman wanted that response, she would first of all direct it,
To you.
yeah, point blank to you, and
Yeah.
she wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wouldn't. At the end of the day, it was rape. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I like something, just generally, like if I see it through a shop, chances are I can't always have it, and yeah, there has to be a lot of exchange, and there has to be a lot of consent, as Mark tried to earlier enforce.
Okay, so thank you for that. Also I'm going to just cover the big three for today. And when it comes to physical, and a lot of women say that it's because we are weak, that's why a lot of men beat us. And we have actually seen it, like, personally I knew it was a marriage thing. When we were growing up, I knew people who were being beaten up in marriages. But even right now, when people are dating, marry someone, it's easily, because we get a club, it's easy to just see a woman who's been choked by the boyfriend and you're like, okay, so, and funny thing, you cannot interrupt or you cannot do anything at that point, or else it's going to turn on you. But how did we reach here until even people in relationship, I'm not saying in marriage it is okay, it is not okay, but how did we reach here? That's the question. Honestly. And I'm actually happy because I'm hearing the other side of the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe I can say something. Okay, like, so there's a lot of these bad like precedents we've set in the past, and even like I've experienced like older aunts of mine saying like, which is really wrong. They're saying, oh no, the male gender is stronger and we should believe in that, which is so messed up, because at the end of the day, it shouldn't have been like that. Like, we shouldn't have had these weird imbalances and these weird societal norms. Yeah. So like when I hear such things, it's sad, and the worst thing is if the men believe it themselves.
Yeah.
That's where the problem comes, and then you see, like, even they've done a lot of social experiments where a woman is pushing a man, and they'll belittle the man. They'll say, how can she be doing this to you? And when it's the other way around, it's obviously shocking, but it's not as shocking as before.
Yeah.
And it's messed up. And I think the problem comes is, like, I don't know how we reached here. I think it dates back so many years ago, and all the literature where there's people who probably had superiority complexes, being born into some place and maybe having some sort of power, and then spearheading it that way. And then they use these really shady examples, saying, no, this is the way it was done in the past, and this is, you've seen this and that. So I think that's how it reached there. And the worst thing is when they transform it into actually physical violence, and when obviously we're anatomically different and physiologically different, but that doesn't mean
It's okay.
that it's okay. And
Yeah.
problem comes is men are actually taught these bad behaviors, and we can teach women how to defend themselves and to be stronger, but if you're not going to teach the men that, what are you doing? Because they're the perpetrators, and they should be taught better by their parents, and they should be raised well.
And
Maybe it's a tough one, but then the main question we should ask ourselves first is, why are we getting into relationships, you see? And when we start with this question, we look at if you look like 30, 40 years before, guys who are getting into a relationship for a reason. And that's why we had polygamous people, because it was, I'm dating you to marry you, okay? But then when you come to the generation now, like the reasons have changed. People date for so many reasons that you can't understand. But now, where the problem I think comes in, where the problem starts is, there is, in the modern society, there is ego stroke role displacement. Men are feeling like, okay, that they're taking over. And they're feeling like, okay, if I'm helping you, I have to own you, you see? And I have to be sure, like, whatever I'm giving to you, you are giving it back. So you see, that happens when it is not emotionally balanced relationship, where there is maybe role or maybe ego displacement in a relationship. Then another reason maybe which I might say how we got here is over expectations. I think a lot of cases I handle is like, you find people enter into relationships with over expectations. You see, so like we are dating, but emotionally you are over expecting from each other, because you are sure you can't be wedded yet, but then you want also to own someone. You see, so like someone is like, okay, if I'm dating you, I have to walk with you like my wife, I have to hold your hand, I have to introduce you to all my parents, I have to take you to my parents and things like those. But then in reality is, why are you in a relationship? I think that's the biggest question someone should ask themselves. And if you do not know the reason why you're in a relationship, they always say when you throw a stone at anything, you'll hit anything. And if you don't have a plan for why you're in a relationship, then any disaster can hit you from anywhere, because you are not planned for anything. You are just in it for emotions. So I would encourage young guys, like, it is not a must, because life is step by step, and life is the longest thing you'll ever have. There's nothing longer than life. So if you partition it and like put some plan, it's just like there was a time we were crawling on our knees. We don't do it anymore.
yeah,
And you should ask yourself, at the point where you are in your life, like, what is expected of you? What do you want? Like, if you're in nursery, you should learn ABCD. Okay, if you go to high school, it is biology, chemistry. If you are in campus, it is this. What about, like, is it a must you have a relationship at that point, particular time, like at 20s, 21, where there's a major thing you should be doing, but then you are trying to substitute it with an emotional thing? Because young people, as per now, their parents are motivating them to do a lot of education, you see.
yeah.
But then ask yourself, can I balance these two? And if I can't, can I wait?
Yeah.
Because anyway, everything is awesome at the right time. That is how I say. So the main way we got here is, maybe I think there is over expectations, there is role displacement, there is ego displacement, and there's just like, yeah, maybe I'll say that.
Yeah, just something to add to what Marx has been saying. Yeah, there's a lot of social expectations, and okay, the worst thing is everyone believes in such timelines, but everyone has their own. Like, I think everyone should believe that they have their own timeline.
Yeah.
And for you to get a relationship, or for you to graduate, or get married, or buy a house at a certain age compared to others, as people think maybe that's too early or too late. I think it just depends on how you see it and how you can still adapt to how things have gone for you. Because you hear people like you hear authors writing books when they're above 30, or even people learning instruments when they're above age. And then people telling you, no, you should learn at a certain age,
Mm.
or you should even get married at a certain age, maybe when you graduate. And then there's a lot of social expectation, and it brings a lot of problems, because I think everyone is searching for a sense of identity. And also acceptance.
True.
And I think for both women and for boys it applies.